A man starts working for the rich family who may have orchestrated his mother's disappearance. As he seeks justice, he also gets entangled with their troubled daughter who seeks attention in the wrong ways. The citizens of a remote town protest against having a mine built as it threatens their economy and health. Paloma leads the protest, and when things escalate, police officers merely watch at a distance. At night, Paloma and her group get ambushed by the officers. Officer Rubin even reminds Paloma that he warned her not to interfere with the mine. He then knocks her out and takes her and her group away. 3 years later, a stage is built to commemorate the opening of the mine. Among the workers is Emiliano, who climbs one of the stage's beams to fix the wiring. His friend, Paco, points out that he used to protest about the mine, and now he's helping out. Emiliano defends that he was just hired but didn't know that it was for the mine. Just then, Paco starts feeling sick due to the height, causing him to fall. The event commences late that afternoon. During this, Emiliano and his girlfriend, Jasmine, visit Paco in the hospital. Emiliano thinks they should file a complaint against the mining company, but Paco dismisses this since they've already paid him for the accident. Just then, Emiliano notices a priest attending to another patient. Paco explains that the patient is Officer Josito, who's dying, so he called a priest to hear his last confession. Someone had lit the man on fire, so he's too injured to even speak. His confession had to be written down, and as Paco mentions this, Emiliano notices the officer's wife crumpling a piece of paper before hiding it. After their visit, Emiliano goes home to his sister, Violetta. While grabbing something from the fridge, he looks at the newspaper articles about Paloma's disappearance on the door. Emiliano then mentions seeing Violetta's friend, who is a doctor at the hospital. He recalls that the last time the doctor visited them, he freaked out. However, Violetta reminds him that the man's son was missing, so when they found something, the doctor was scared that it was his son's body. Jasmine then wonders if the authorities have identified the bodies they found in a tanker, but Violetta confirms that they haven't. Curious about investigating on his own, Emiliano later sneaks back into the hospital to check in on Josito. He wonders if the officer knows about his mother's disappearance, revealing that he is Paloma's son. After hesitating, Josito writes something for Emiliano. However, his wife returns and tries to snatch the paper, prompting an officer guarding the hospital to intervene. Still, Emiliano read what was written, so he soon checks the address Josito wrote. There, he and Jasmine find a home of a rich family, who are preparing to bury their dogs. Officers are investigating since the dogs were poisoned, and one of them spots the two onlookers. Thinking quickly, Jasmine pulls her boyfriend into a kiss to make it look like they're just searching for some privacy. They're still brought into the home of the Aldama family, which includes the singer Carmen and her husband, Rigoberto. The officers question if they're part of the Alex messengers who have been bothering the Aldama family. Thinking quickly, Emiliano claims that they were passing by, wondering if they had job openings for their household. Given how their dogs died, Carmen considers hiring him to be an extra lookout. Just then, her daughter, Monica, approaches. Being a fan of the singer and her social influencer daughter, Jasmine asks to take photos with them before they leave. After this, Emiliano and Jasmine enjoy a private time together, unaware that someone is watching them. Later, the two report back to Violetta, noting how Josito led them to the Aldamas, so they might be connected to Paloma's disappearance. They also point out that the Alex Messengers are a religious organization that might have followers protesting against the mine, which could be why they're bothering the Aldamas. However, Violetta thinks her brother is just getting himself in trouble. Despite this, Emiliano insists on finding proof that they're involved in Paloma's disappearance, asserting that he wants justice for his mother. Soon enough, Emiliano starts working for the Aldamas. While he's fixing a window, he ends up just outside Monica's room. The woman mentions seeing him and Jasmine during their private time through her attic window. This embarrasses the man, so she assures him that she finds their interaction romantic. Just then, they overhear Carmen and Rigoberto from the other room. The singer is checking on her husband's wound, noting that he had the attack coming. Rigoberto shrugs this off, though he admits that he still mourns for their dogs. Changing topics, Carmen mentions a TV program that wants to cover Rigoberto's strange artwork. He thinks it's a good thing, seeing any kind of publicity as an advantage. Rigoberto believes that his odd creation of a prosthetic orifice has boosted Carmen's career since she's been writing songs to complain about it. The woman laughs at this, pointing out that he's living in her house so she doesn't owe him anything. Angered, the husband throws her out of the room, and their argument reaches Monica's room, making her feel resentful towards them. Soon, however, their argument intensifies in a different way, so they take things back to their bedroom. This pisses Monica off, so she heads out and jumps into the nearby lake. When she doesn't come back to the surface, Emiliano rushes to retrieve her from the water. However, Monica is just acting to convince the man to resuscitate her. Emiliano refuses and leaves. Later, Emiliano complains to Jasmine about how his employers are mad. Just then, Rigoberto invites them over for dessert, so the two join the family. Rigoberto wonders what his guests think of the mines, and Emiliano lies that he's okay with it, though he doesn't like that they've hired foreigners to work there. His employer justifies that the foreign workers are cheaper. Monica brings up the health and environmental effects, but Rigoberto defends that their society is built on consuming what they can, so it can't be avoided. Moments later, Emiliano notices a mysterious hatch in their backyard. Before he can investigate, Rigoberto continues his argument that bringing down someone from the top is pointless in this society. He likens this to how the Alex messengers have been trying to bring him down for the artwork he made out of the body of their founding leader, who was a criminal. Late that afternoon, Emiliano cleans up before going home, but Monica calls him to join her in the attic. There, she shows him how she's popular on social media for reenacting dangerous scenes, like when she pretended to drown earlier. The man, however, isn't impressed. That evening, Jasmine, Emiliano, and Violetta flip through Rigoberto's book, wherein he used photos of the body of the Alex messenger's former leader. The criminal was arrested for improper acts and was killed in prison. Rigoberto then paid off the morgue to gain access to the body so he could use it for his art. Further into the book, Emiliano finds a handwritten message from Rigoberto, telling him that the truth lies in the tongue and his hands. The trio finds this message strange. Violetta then shares that she couldn't find links to the Aldamas to their mother's disappearance, but her brother still thinks they're connected. He believes that the hatch in their backyard might lead to a well where bodies could be hidden, so he plans to investigate it. The next morning, on his way to work, Emiliano finds an abandoned child. He takes her back to the Aldamas' home and learns that the child is the daughter of their housekeeper and their gardener. Because of this incident, the couple decide to depart from the Aldamas' household, leaving only Emiliano as their worker. Rigoberto then asks his worker to join him and Officer Ruben to confront the Alex messengers about this incident. During the drive, Rigoberto enumerates the attacks the group has done to his family, including throwing a bottle on his head and dropping a smoke bomb in their apartment in the city. They move to the town to escape, but their attacks only escalated. The men attend the Alex messenger gathering and speak to their current leader, Felipe. The man denies attacking Rigoberto's family, but Ruben asserts that if something happens to them again, he can drive them out of town. However, a member of the group argues that they have the right to live in town without being treated like criminals. She insists that Rigoberto is the criminal, and this escalates into an argument until one of the members, Ramiro, takes a rock to throw at their enemy. Thankfully, the officers mitigate the situation by taking Rigoberto away. Because of the events, Emiliano's job is extended to be a watchman for the Aldamas, and is given their housekeeper's old shed to serve as his room. The man sees this as a good opportunity to let him investigate the hatch in the backyard. Once everyone is asleep, Emiliano sneaks into the house to check the well while Jasmine is on the lookout. However, the family's remaining dog distracts her just as Rigoberto wakes up to sounds around his home. He grabs a shotgun to investigate while the clueless Emiliano opens the hatch to check the underground well. Rigoberto finds the man, but Emiliano accidentally slips into the well. At the same time, Monica has a nightmare about a corpse underwater. She wakes up with a gasp just as Rigoberto pulls Emiliano out of the well. Thinking quickly, the man reasons that he heard something from the well, so he was checking it out. Thankfully, his employer believes him. The next morning, Monica sings for a live stream but stops when she notices Emiliano stepping out from his shed. She approaches him and wonders if he was actually stealing from them last night. The man claims that he just thought someone broke in, and Monica dismisses this. Emiliano then compliments her singing, and Monica admits that she wants to be a singer but decided against it when someone from the industry attempted to use her. Luckily, her mother discovered them and shot the man, but this forced them to hide in Spain. She knows her mother saved her, but she hates that Carmen ended up meeting and marrying Rigoberto afterward. Monica then wonders about Emiliano's missing mother, sympathizing with how he must feel. Just then, Rigoberto calls his worker, so Emiliano goes to him. In his office, Rigoberto mentions how there was a shootout last night where a girl died. He then confesses to Emiliano that the body he used for his book wasn't the former leader of the Alex Messengers, but that of a John Doe. The higher-ups of the Alex Messengers knew this but used the controversy to justify their attacks against Rigoberto. In turn, Rigoberto took advantage of the publicity. The man then reveals that he knows that Emiliano applied for work there to investigate them. He also knows that he got the location of the house from Josito and acknowledges that something could have happened in the area around their house, though he denies knowing about it. Surprised, Emiliano asks why they hired him anyway, and Rigoberto justifies that he admires that the man is fighting for the truth. Rigoberto asserts that he doesn't abduct people, but Emiliano asks him to let his sister and her team investigate their home if he has nothing to hide. Sympathizing with him, the man worries if there are really hidden bodies under the house. Emiliano then confesses that he was supposed to be at the protest with his mother the day she disappeared, but he arrived late on purpose. This is why he's felt guilty over not protecting her. Lightening the mood, Rigoberto then shows his employee the new artwork he's been making. It's a map based on Emiliano's journey, seeing his strive for justice as something that can inspire others. However, Emiliano doesn't see it this way. He calls the man mad for documenting his life as if he's just a story. Feeling used and cornered, Emiliano decides to leave the household, which worries Carmen. Rigoberto reminds his wife how they asked Ruben to get rid of some people, and Emiliano's mother was one of them. He's been feeling guilty since Emiliano came to their house, but Carmen reminds him that they didn't ask Ruben to actually kill the protesters, so it's not their fault. Still, Rigoberto weeps as he doesn't believe they're innocent. Meanwhile, Jasmine walks with Emiliano back to town, though she reveals that her parents advised her to break up with him because he won't achieve anything in life since he's stuck in the past. Emiliano asks if she'll take their advice, and she doesn't answer. When they reach the town, they pass by the wake of the girl who got killed last night. However, Jasmine refuses to see the victim and leaves. After she does, Emiliano is greeted by his other friends, who tell him that the girl was shot when the Luura gang attacked a shop. They want to avenge her by driving the gang away from their town, so they recruit Emiliano. Given his confusion about his mother's disappearance and his future with Jasmine, he decides to take the risk. Violetta sees him and tries to stop her brother, but the group drives off. On their way, Jasmine also sees them and tries to stop them, but her boyfriend ignores her worries. Elsewhere, Carmen takes her daughters on a boat ride. While relaxing, Monica removes her suit to sunbathe, but her mother urges her to get dressed since someone might see her. Carmen then asks what she thinks of Emiliano, so Monica admits that she finds him interesting. Eventually, Emiliano gets cold feet and decides not to join the fight. Instead, he goes to Jasmine, who worries that everyone thinks he went with the others to kill the gang. He assures her that he left before the fight started as he didn't want to ruin his future with her. With that, Emiliano begs Jasmine to marry him, but she dumps him instead, realizing that she can't live with his self-destructive ways. She goes back home, but Emiliano tries to break into the house, only to be caught by Jasmine's father and brother. This leads to a fistfight, which leaves Emiliano unconscious, just as Rigoberto calls his phone. When he wakes up, Emiliano finds himself on a boat with Rigoberto. The man offers closure about his mother, noting that he believes in healing and the truth. Rigoberto admits he should have chosen his words carefully when he asked the officers for help. He asserts that he didn't mean for the incident to happen, and things simply got out of hand. Now, he wants to confess and let Emiliano choose what to do with him. Emiliano asks where his mother is. but Rigoberto doesn't know since he was meant to know as little as possible. Instead, he surrenders himself to Emiliano to atone for his sin. However, the man notices a security camera on the boat. Thinking that they'll use the footage against him, he just asks his former employer to take him back. Waiting for them at the docks is Carmen. When the men arrive, Rigoberto tells his wife that he and Emiliano will go to the attorney's office to sort things out. Carmen refuses, asserting that her husband is merely imagining everything he confessed to. Rigoberto insists that it's all true and he wants things to be over. As the couple argue, a confused Emiliano decides to end things on his own and strangles Rigoberto. Carmen tries to stop him, still claiming that her husband is merely using him for his warped view of art. Just then, Monica arrives and fires a warning shot, forcing Emiliano to release her stepfather. Carmen rushes to take the gun from her daughter, then aims it at Emiliano. She orders him to leave and promises not to press charges. With no choice, Emiliano leaves while Rigoberto yells at him to come back and get his justice. However, his wife refuses to let him surrender. Furious at his actions, Carmen throws out her husband's art and yells at him for attempting to ruin her life. Rigoberto calls her selfish as he wants to surrender so he can be rid of his guilt. He shoves the woman off, and Monica rushes to punch him for harming her mother. During this, Emiliano reaches the edge of the town but hesitates to go home. As he relaxes, Monica suddenly approaches him, asking what her parents did to him. Emiliano tells her that they ordered his mother to be abducted, and Monica refuses to believe that Carmen could do that. However, he points out that her parents bought shares in the mining company, so they had a motive to do it. Guilty, Monica embraces him and asserts that she doesn't want to go back home. Emiliano pushes her away, yet the woman follows him into the darkness. Later, the man lies on the field and Monica uses the chance to kiss him. She even asks him to hurt her during their moment as she records themselves from her phone. The next morning, Carmen goes to the kitchen nonchalantly, only to grab Rigoberto's gun and shoot him. Meanwhile, Jasmine catches Emiliano with Monica and speeds away. Emiliano tries chasing after her but ends up getting cornered by an oncoming police car. They take him back to the Aldama's house as Carmen has framed him for killing her husband. When Monica sees him getting arrested, she screams that she was with him all night, but her mother and the police silence her. Emiliano is taken away by the police, but Ramiro and his fellow Alex messengers deliberately crash into the vehicle to let him escape. The man runs into the open field and uses a tree branch to unbind himself. He then jumps into the lake to swim away. Emiliano eventually reaches an abandoned structure in the middle of the water. There, he tends to his wound as he was hit by one of the officer's bullets. Officers soon arrive at the area, so the man hides underwater until they leave. That night, he makes it back to the Aldamas and sneaks into the attic to meet Monica, who quickly hides him from the officers outside. He asserts that he didn't kill Rigoberto, while Monica shares that Carmen promised her that she'll get him out of prison once things cool down. However, neither of them believe this. In the morning, Monica threatens her mother to confess, otherwise, she'll jump from the rooftop. Frustrated, Carmen admits that she killed Rigoberto, unaware that her daughter is live streaming their conversation at that moment. Despite getting the truth out, Monica is driven mad at how messed up her family is, so while she faces her camera and her audience, she releases herself from the rooftop. Emiliano can only watch from the attic as the woman who just saved him dies. Days later, the exonerated Emiliano returns to town. After witnessing how the past ended the lives of Rigoberto and the innocent Monica, he chooses not to fall victim to what he can't change. Instead, he reunites with Jasmine, who welcomes him back with a promise of their future together.